Hi, I'm Randy Hollenbeck, and this is the Music Roundtable. Today on the show, we have 70s groove rockers, the Moon City Masters.
How you doing, Randy? Thanks for having us.
Hey,
Here you are, superstar, so enchanted. Close my eyes to the things you've been granted. Say it's true, we're like you, what's the difference? You just tried, it's not your blessed existence. So it's deep, oh deep, they're playing. Let's take it back, oh yeah, that's all we're saying.
I just wanted to dig into some of your history. How did you get involved in music? What age did you start playing guitar and bass?
So we started playing we started playing when we were 12. Our dad's a kid of the 60s in New York City. He went to Woodstock. He grew up on the music around, like, the classic rock stuff, and our older brothers got into a lot of rock and metal and stuff when we were kids. But I think seeing our first concert, which was the Red Hot Chili Peppers when we were 12, that's what got the itch to start playing. And we both got guitars, and like a few months later, Jordan's like, you know what? That big guitar was actually a bass. I want to play that.
yo, I feel like there's a few things you left out there that I think make the story a little better, if I'm going to be honest. But one of my favorite things is that we just kind of like arbitrarily decided we had a band. When we both picked up the guitar, I decided I was going to be the lead singer and the rhythm guitar player, and he was going to be the lead guitar. We both couldn't play a note, but he was the lead guitar, and we had a bass player by virtue, and he earned his spot in the band. Our drummer earned his spot. He couldn't play either, but he earned his spot because he was our neighbor, and Jeff earned his spot by his dad owning a bass, and we all still couldn't play, but we decided Jeff was really bringing down the band, and it also coincided with me realizing that the bass guitar is what Flea was playing, so coincidence, I'm really, I'm really sorry, Jeff, but I had to take your spot, buddy. Well, I hope you're doing well.
But yeah, that's it. And we just started playing and just writing instantly together. And that's what we've been doing now for a while. And just been in a bunch of bands. And now it's just the two of us. And we realize it's better that way.
Now, your brothers, do you ever have like any infighting going on between you guys?
Not ever.
Yeah, like yesterday. Yeah, like you're
Never fight. Never. He don't believe him. He's not telling the truth.
brothers don't fight. No, we're twins.
Brothers hug.
Bro- brothers don't shake hands. We started yeah, we bicker like brothers all the time. We're always fighting about something, never about music though. It's always musically we're always on the same page. Like,
Or the voice recordings that we listen to with my idea and then his idea, kind of. We both typically agree on what sounds better when we listen back.
but we like the same stuff. We're influenced. We always gravitate towards the same stuff, and creatively, we're always on the same page. And I think, and that's kind of why the Moon City Masters. We've been in bands with a couple other people at a time, all the bands, and this was the first band. Like, we're always the ones that are on the same page. Bands seem to break up because we're on the same page, but we're not on the same page. Let's just try being the two of us. and it's just been the most satisfying experience creatively.
What are some of your musical influences?
Hmm. Well, we loved Rush in high school, and we still love Rush. But we were like in a group, like a nice nerdy group of friends that saw like 4 different Rush concerts. So that was huge. That Taylor, you name one.
Like Deep Purple, particularly like Mark III era Deep Purple, the Hughes Coverdale stuff. I think a lot of our how we co-lead, sing, and harmonize them and like Grand Funk take like do a lot for us. A lot of those kind of bands, like yeah, Purple, Rush.
A lot of soul music too. A lot of old Motown stuff. I love Stevie Wonder. So all of that, I feel like we just kind of go through different phases of like what like 60s, like 70s, early 80s music we're into.
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of Free lately, so that's been inspiring. But yeah, a lot of that like just early '70s rock music and soul music.
How'd you guys come up with the name for the band?
Carol Autumn might have been involved. So our older brother Adam, and I, we were all engaging in recreational activities together, and we're all hanging out. And Adam just kind of says to us, you guys always have these names that I'm not naming any names that sound so
These terrible band names.
terrible band names, and they're like, you should just be like the Moon City Masters. Like, imagine it. Like, someone walks in and they see you guys, and you're called the Moon City Masters, and then you play. It's like, whoa, the Moon City Masters are actually pretty good. And then
He thought the name of us being identical twins and being announced as the Moon City Masters, if we played a club, if someone walked in, the name would be so us with the name would be so funny. It would be so like amusing to people. They'd stick around to hear how we sound, and it'd keep people in the club.
so there's like 3 reasons why we took it. One, he was very insistent. Number two, number two, we could legally own it. And number three, if you don't have a better idea and it doesn't suck, then don't be that guy that doesn't have a better idea, but you're like, no.
Hey, at this point, we were just going to be called Jordan and Taylor, and we realized that was not the way to go.
Putting them on the internet, we're like, no one's going to want to wear a shirt that says Jordan and Taylor. And honestly,
Especially because my spelling of Taylor is without a Y, so it's like, why are you wearing that shirt? It's like clearly a cheap ripoff of some knockoff of something.
it's like a Chinese ripoff of a Lord and Taylor furniture. That's what Lord and Taylor does, right? Furniture.
Yeah, or something. I don't know.
Like you ever see that backpack that's got like Sonic the Hedgehog on it, and it says Harry Potter Obama, and it's got Sonic the Hedgehog on it.
I don't think a lot of people saw that one. Our friend spent a month studying abroad in China, and he sent us all these goofy knockoffs. And one of the backpacks was Sonic the Hedgehog. What?
That was like a viral thing. That did happen.
That was a viral thing? Oh, he sent us other knockoffs. Okay.
Yeah, it was a viral thing, man. Uh, we're very hip with the viral memes and stuff.
What city are you based out of?
New York City, and we live in Brooklyn.
And when you guys play out, do you like grab other musicians to play with you, like drums and like other instruments, or it's just you two?
We have a drummer, Harry Keithline. He's been with us for a little over a year now, and he's played on Send It On, Draw the Line, and Spinning Wheels. And he's going to be on all of our new stuff moving forward. He's great. We love working with him.
I wanted to dig in a couple songs here. You had Taken It Back released February 2021, and I love the really cool guitar riff at the beginning of the song, and it got that old classic rock vibe to it. Can you tell me a little bit about this song?
Jordan, you're the lyricist. I think this is your turn.
Okay, well, I wrote that riff And for every time we write a riff that we end up using, it's a freaking miracle because it's always one out of like 100.
You got to write a lot of bad. And he sent me the riff, and I kind of just wrote a thing as like a response to it. A lot of times, like that's how, like one of us will come in with a riff, and then the other one just responds to it. Like just if it's good, it's just we'll have a response. It's like yeah, that's it. Or
There's not like a real reason that we like it. It's just like, yeah, that vibes, and we typically just always agree that it vibes. So we wrote the riff, and then Taylor transposed it up a key because he liked it better, and up a half step, I believe. And I hate to say it, I hate to sound so cynical and like salty, like, but like honestly, the song is really just about like how I just like I'm really sick of when you kind of scratch beneath the surface. It feels like these days every young successful person, and I'm not going to name names, and I'm not even saying that these people don't work their ass off and aren't super talented, but there just always seems to be like money or like some family member or some kind of thing. And I guess I would just like, it's just me having a little bit of a rant of like, let's just give it would just be nice if, you didn't have to have $1 million to be a famous artist, or you didn't have like not $1 million. Like,
it just we live in the era of the music industry and art where like people are buying onto tours and people are doing that, and it seems like it's just or you have to have the time to be home to be an influencer if you don't I think it was just like a frustrating thing. It's like you know it I think it's sometimes it was like that feeling of like oh man, I wish this was just an equal playing field.
yeah, and so that's really it. That's really what it's about. It's really just like it's such a very happy song, and I love the play, but it is a little salty. It's salty sweet, man. And I'm not always salty. Sometimes I wake up on like on the good side of the bed. Hair looks right that day.
But it's also just like the frustrations of the music industry. I think when you go at this for a while, you get a lot of it's just I think it's just like I think it's a story of us. We're just a band trying to fight to get our opportunity.
The story of most bands. It's the story of most bands out there. And that's really it. It's just like that. That's really what the song's about. And I don't remember what spurred me wanting to write it about that. But definitely something. Once I have an opinion about something, I have a real opinion. Or answer. So I guess maybe it was just like, let me just spare my family members. Like.
You usually come up with a title or like a concept, and then you work from there. I think you had the title for some reason.
No, you came up with the title. You came up with the title. You came up with the title. And I thought the title was amazing. I thought the title taking it. You just like were like, we're gonna call it "Taking It Back," and it didn't mean anything. You had no reason why it was called. We're gonna keep on taking it back, and, and I just thought it was great. I just thought it was great.
We just spend so much time together and we just write. It's kind of like it all just melts together.
Sometimes we don't really keep tabs of who wrote a riff, but sometimes we try to remember. Jake, stop it! I'm having an interview. I'm sorry. It's the Labrador Retriever. He wanted to come in and be part of it, but I guess he's not getting to say anything, so he's leaving. Uh, we just kind of sometimes when we do try to think back on like who wrote what, we sometimes like we don't really remember. Like we like both insist like, no dude, I was doing this when I was like, dude, you're literally doing what I told you I did when I wrote that. So it just kind of all gets melded together, and there's no real way to figure it out. It's kind of like that one time we walked into court with were sharing a car. We had like 10, 15 parking tickets between us, and we couldn't decipher which. It's kind of like that. Whose were whose?
We didn't remember. We didn't. So the judge just laughed and $50, walk away. But yeah, that's it. That song's really just it really it's I love Jordan's lyrics because I love a lot of the imagery in it, like the "Here You Are, Superstar." But to us, it really starts with the music, and if we get a good melody over it, we continue it. It's really about just good, catchy riffs and melodies.
Oh, going back to influences, you made me remember an influence. Uh, Not just as a bass player, but I really, from a young age, really loved Bob Daisley's lyrics. The bass player off from the first two Ozzy solo records. Really love those lyrics. I thought he always had a really good way of everything rhymed, which is very important to me. I like everything to rhyme and it sound really rhythmic because that's in melodies too. And but everything meant something. You could tell he wasn't just talking about like surface level bullshit. He was expressing himself and his view of things. And I thought, and it just was really, I didn't realize he was a lyricist at the time, but it had a really big impact. They were the first lyrics that actually like really meant something to me. And I was like, I don't know, fifth grade. Fifth grade. Good time.
So that's taking it back, and I think that's the first. That's the second song we recorded during the pandemic.
You released Draw the Line March 25th, 2022, and there's a really cool guitar solo in there. And I, I, I like how you structured the song and the flow and the different parts in it. It feels like it kind of like takes you on a journey in that song. Is that something you guys worked on, the structuring of that?
The riff for the verse, the main riff, that da 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 da. Da. I've had that riff lying around for a couple years. I still have on my phone a guitar lesson I was giving a few years ago, and I wrote the riff in the lesson. And I've had this, and I just could not. I love the riff, but I couldn't write a song to it. And then I put the capo on the third fret, and I played it for Jordan, and he instantly sang a melody. And I don't know, that one's maybe it's because it's one of our newest ones. It's really, even it's not our most streamed, but it's probably my favorite one because it really does go on a journey. You're right, and we like to stretch out and jam on that one live. And it's funny to us. All of our songs, we always think they feel longer and more like we're going on a trip, and then at the end of it, they're all like 3 minutes and something. And I'm like, it's because we played in progressive rock bands, but we forgot how to write 10-minute songs.
We never set an intention to write like a short song tune, but we do. Describing it as a journey, that's how I feel about every song. I like songs that take you on a journey.
And that's what I go for in my solos too, to be a story within the story. That's what one of my first guitar teachers told me, to think of your solos like that. So I really try to, like, maybe a different turn, but just really add to the song.
We're having one of those moments right now where every turn of the century, we tell each other something about ourselves that the other one didn't know. And I didn't know that you were ever told that.
Yeah, like live, I really like to improvise and stretch things out. But in the studio, I love those Brian May, other solos like that, people like that. That there's David Gilmour. Even though I don't play like any of them, but their solos, they're part of the song. It's a song within the song, and I think I love that, and I really try to. So I think we do try to put people on a journey with our songs. We're trying to be the band that we've always wanted to hear.
And you talked about you asked about structuring. I would say that that's the number one thing that we spend the most time on every song we write is structuring. Like coming up with the initial idea, like one every 100 riffs, we, probably a little less, but let's just say one out of 100, like riffs that we write, like has that thing that is just, it's easy to sing to. It's got a groove. It just checks the boxes of what we like and of what we think is like, yeah, this is like, let's keep going down this path. And then once the initial thing's written, I feel like I feel like we spend more. I feel like we spend more time just like trimming the fat and like really trying to come up with the best parts that we can. Depending on if it's like started with a bass line I wrote, or a melody I wrote, or a guitar riff he wrote, or every Paul he'll write a riff that I play as my but structuring, I think, would you agree on that?
Yeah, and I think because we don't like to just add parts or keep things longer than they have to. We really like it to just. I rather you want to play it again than this song is good, but it's too long.
If we could write a 10-minute song that didn't feel like it was a 10-minute song the way Yes can do it, in my opinion, another big influence. Yes can, like, when I listen to And You and I or something, I don't feel like I just like that, like 10 minutes of my life went by, or however long that song is. Maybe Siberian Catcher was 10 minutes. I don't know. But like that that song really takes you on a journey. It looks like right now we've got a little, maybe, do we have a 5-minute song yet?
I don't know, but yeah, I think one of the new ones we're writing is. But yeah, that's definitely just taking people on a journey, just having really good structure. Each part is supposed to be there. It's not wasted. We really like to really get those little details in. We produce the hell out of it before we get to our producer to produce it some more.
We pre-produce it, man.
If it ain't feeling fine, walk away, don't waste your time. Draw the line, draw the line. If it ain't worth the time, turn around, don't look behind. Draw the line, draw the line. Nothing's gonna last forever. You gotta do it now or do it never. You can't live by the rules they say. You gotta play how you wanna play. You scream and shout about it, but no one listens to the words you say. No way to get around it. You can't put it off another day. You scream and shout about it, but no one listens to the words you say. No way to get around it. You can't put it off another day.
I want to talk about your sound. Is there like guitar pedals that you use?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh well, in the studio, I'm using a lot of different stuff, but I use like I one of my mainstays is my analog Man King of Tone pedal. I've had it for a long time. Very, I love that pedal. I also use like a Klon Centaur clone called the Archer, and we record everything on a Vox AC10, just cranked up in this little in our producer Justin's little studio, and then my guitars are just like my harmony guitars and my heritage guitars, which are, I've did some stuff on it, my old 73 SG, but live I'm emulating a lot of this is recently the last couple shows we played. Have you heard of the Line 6 Helix? Yeah, I switched. I was if you asked me 6 months ago, I would have said that digital amp profile stuff is garbage, and I would have been because I'm like I like 70s and early 80s. I like and I always wanted to, and I switched to it because I'm like I've been using it, and I use it with an amp live, and honestly, it's like it's easier to bring around, and it sounds like 95% as good as my studio tone. It sounds just like it. And I'm only saying 95 because I can't accept that digital could be as good as tubes yet or analog, but it's just as good.
I will go on and say I'm not seeing you get as many compliments after playing live on your guitar sound as when you started using that.
And my analog Man King of Tone, it's worth a lot of money, and I got it at a good friend, a guitar player that Jordan used to play with, Mark Hitt, had got helped me get it at a good deal. But if I travel with that, if it gets stolen, that's hard to replace. Using the Helix, you know, it's I've been really into it. I might start experimenting using I also have a Flint Strymon reverb and tremolo I use a lot. I might start experimenting using some analog drive pedals with the Helix effects, but I'm really happy with it. I'm like I can't like I said 6 months ago I would have been if I heard myself now I'd be like this what happened to me? But I'm loving it.
Just to disclose, we are not paid by Line 6.
No, they don't even know we exist. But some really good friends of ours, like like Ron. You know who Ron Thal is? Ron Bumblefoot Thal. He's been very supportive of us, and we're friendly with him. And he told me about his Helix, and he told me everything he's doing is on the Helix now. And he's just someone I have so much for respect for as a player that if it's good enough for Bumblefoot, it's good enough for me.
What do you guys got planned for the rest of 2022?
A lot. A decent amount. We could always be busier, but do you want me to say? You could go ahead, Jordan, if you or I could
We're opening up for Jared James Nichols on the 24th at the Mercury Lounge in New York City.
play opening for Joyous Wolf at the Viper Room in LA. They're good friends of ours, and I think of Limbo is also on the bill. They were doing that November 4th when the album comes out, and then we're doing a release party at Rockwood Music Hall in New York City, November 11th, and we're gonna have a band called Frankfurt Fittler opening up for us from Philadelphia, good band, and then we're off.
Their name's a little bit of a tongue twister for us, but they're really good. I found that.
Yeah, and they're like us, they're like a classic rockish duo too. They're really good, and we're off to Europe for 3.5 weeks. We're touring from November 23rd to December 19th. We're going to be in Belgium, Spain, Germany, France. It's going to be Italy. We're doing one show there. Some Vienna. We're going to be announcing dates in a few days. We're so excited.
And what's the name of your album?
The famous Moon City Masters,
And that comes out when?
November 4th. And it's going to have one new song with the singles.
How do we get a hold of you guys? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter?
We're not really Twitter guys that much, though we do have a Twitter, but the first two are great. And for you kids out there, we are on TikTok. And
Yeah. Facebook, Instagram, all of them. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I don't like being on there too long. And then and TikTok.
Okay. Thanks for coming on the show today. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you so much for having us, Randy.
yeah, thank you so much, Randy. This was fun.